So I have 6 kids, I have a spouse, and we have worked very hard to build our home up. We want the American dream of taking care of our families and being able to live and see them grow and enjoy the time that we have with them. We are blessed to live in America, but right now, this time frame that we're living in, I'm scared that what is happening right now, we'll look back in history one day and say, this was a pivot, this was a turning point, this was a time where America lost its way. This is that time. And if we don't fix it now, I'm scared in the future, when we look back to this time period, we're gonna say, how did we lose our way? How did we get so crazy? What are we thinking? So let's jump into some of those things today. And if we don't find solutions to them, then I believe we're gonna see a pivot, and it's gonna be a pivot in the wrong direction. Let's jump into this video today. It's gonna be a good one, and it starts right now. Hey guys, welcome to the Max. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you for turning on our video. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up. It helps us stay in the algorithm to hopefully impact other people, and hopefully we can gain wisdom as a community forum to say, you know what? We want better. We want to see our freedoms thrive. We want to see families do well. We want to see morals established back in America. And our goal is to be a homesteader and sustainable farmer and prepper to make that take place. So if you're new to the channel, go down here, press subscribe, ring the bell. And again, let us know what you think about this video. So problem number 1, we talk about fuel. We want a greener and cleaner earth. Can't do that just as America or the West. Everybody's got to be on board for that. Now, I believe God provided fossil fuels, so I believe that we need to harvest them, and we need to do it in the safest way. We understand that. But just today, a lot of those countries that pump the oil that we are purchasing and that are thriving with oil are now coming against us. They're starting to join other nations that are willing to say, you know what? We understand oil makes the world go round. That may we like it or not, but there's not enough technology to say that we can't have oil and can't have gas and petroleum and fossil fuels. Well, today, OPEC came out and said they're cutting production. Now, that was a kick in the pants, I think, to America. Now, sadly, we did this to ourselves. Not only could we have energy independence, and not only could we produce more oil ourselves, we've been so manipulated and all the propaganda that's pushed against it that we believe that we can have a cleaner, greener earth. Okay? Well, if we're the only ones doing it, remember, we live in one earth. We don't live in a separate earth than China, Russia, and the Middle East. We live in the same earth. So if they're not doing anything to curb their carbon footprint or to do more things to help get their oil out safer, then do you honestly believe we're going to do anything other than make ourselves weaker? Look at some of the places in the West, how Germany is struggling. Look how now Japan is buying fuel from Russia. Look at us, we're seeing higher fuel prices. And guess what? When they said they're going to cut the oil, OPEC is cutting the production. Do you honestly believe your gas and your diesel and your oil and your production and all those things that oil makes, do you honestly believe that it's going to be cost effective and the price is going to go down? No, it's going to go up. They're manipulating the market. And guess what? We have to just let them do it because we're stupid enough to not pump our own oil. Now, I know a lot of these things we've talked about, but if you'll stay to the end of the video, we're going to talk about one reason all this stuff is happening and how we can fix it. Now let's jump onto the second headline that I think we need to be aware of. China. The spy balloon now, everybody's like, oh, okay, we admit it. It was a China spy balloon. And yes, we do admit it that the military was surveilled. All these military sites were surveilled. And yes, America did know that they were doing it. And for some reason, we just allowed them to do it. Why did we let them do it? And was there a reason we let them do it? And did our government want them to do it? Sadly, those are some real questions we should ask. Who in their right mind would think it's smart to allow an adversary, another world power, a power that tends to not like us too much, just run across America and surveil us? That's not a smart policy. What knowledge does now an adversary know about us and about our government and about our military sites that we should have not let them know? And then the question comes down to, what are they going to do with that information? What are they going to use it for? Are they using it just because they want to, make the world a better place? I doubt it. I doubt it. And I don't think they were just flying a spy balloon over America just to see the beauty of our land. Come on now. Thirdly, our three-letter agencies are buying data from the apps, from social medias, from all these different areas and all these sales companies and all these people that pitch you something on these apps. They're buying data to find more information about you. That came out today. Now the question is this, again, because our world is so tied up in technology, surveillance from another country and now surveillance from our own government, I don't think they're worried about what you're buying on Amazon. I don't think they're worried about the algorithm of what kind of music you like to listen to. Those might come across their feeds, but ultimately they want to know more information about you. Is that going to make your freedoms be jeopardized? Are they worried about what you're shopping for? Are you shopping for different style money? Are you shopping for different style self-defense items? Are you shopping for food preps because you're scared of the government? The question is, what information and private data are they pulling off American citizens? Do they know that we're filming this and watching this because of all the information they may know? Probably so. Technology can be a good thing. I mean, you're watching me on a digital device in the middle of my forest in South Mississippi, and I've got people that watch from Kenya and South Africa and Europe and even right down the road. That's pretty amazing. The problem though is because we live our life so much tied up into these technology things and we give all our information just because we want something real quick and convenient and easy, the more information that our three-letter agencies know about us. Now the problem with this is not only do they know about it, no one holds them accountable for the information that they are pulling off. So they're surveilling their own citizens, we're losing our freedoms, and our elected officials that are supposed to be for the people and take care of us, all they're looking for when they bring them to testify in front of Congress is their viral moment to yell and get on their soapbox and make it on national news. They want to raise their brand and raise their talking points, and all the while the American people are still the ones left out to dry. So we have now gas and oil problems that's going to cause the American issues with their bank accounts. We have surveillance from an adversary that's not good, and now we know our local government is surveilling us. Now let's jump into a few more stories, and then we're going to try to wrap this up with one main problem and one main solution. So stick to the video and we'll talk about it at the very end. Next, what about this third world situation where a leadership of one party and this whole party is in opposition to the other, which is normal because we have a two-party system, which I think that's broken, by the way. But we see the opposition leader now is getting indicted. We see the opposition leader now is under a gag order, possibly. And we see a lot of issues like that with one guy. Now, I'm not saying Trump is a morally obligated person. I'm not saying that he is the person that's supposed to lead your Bible study. But here is what I am saying. We're making this one charge and this one thing that he did, which I'm not saying is right or wrong. I'm not saying what he did because I don't personally know. I'm just a guy from South Mississippi, so I don't understand everything that may be going on. But what I do know is these charges are getting trumped up for a political reason. Now, honestly, if you see what he did, I imagine a majority of politicians do things that they shouldn't be doing. And I imagine they've broken a lot of laws that could be even more possibly worse than what this gentleman did. But we see a leader going against an opposition leader, not only a former president, but an opposition leader who is now probably going to be the face of the party. And we're seeing, you know, an indictment. We're seeing a gag order. We're seeing this guy maybe looking at time in jail or some major fines, and we're seeing just this motivation strictly on politics to get him on some kind of charge. Now, if people do wrong things, they should be, you know, held accountable for them. However, holding one individual accountable when there's so many other politicians that's probably done the same thing that's gotten out of it because there's just a small little misdemeanor charge, but now it's getting trumped up and being bigger. Why is it being bigger? Why are we going through this? This looks like a third world country. So that, in fact, along with the Chinese surveillance situation, is making us look weak as a country. And then all of a sudden these other countries are saying, well, hey, they're surveilling their own people. Boy, we're looking very tyrannical right now. What are we doing? And then lastly, before we wrap this video up and talk about the problem, the big problem and solution, Sometimes I think of like babies on the farm. I think of little lambs, I think of calves, I think of chicks. They depend on something else to take care of them. They depend on their mamas. Sometimes I look at America like that. We are fed so much by the media, by what we hear, what we read. And instead of doing our own research, we just take whatever we can get. It's like we're vulnerable little babies and we just listen to whatever's been told to us. And we're vulnerable. We can't do it without them telling us what to do. That baby calf can't go anywhere without his mama leading him. Sometimes we gotta learn to grow up a little bit and take the information they may be giving us and then do our own research and find out what's really the truth behind it. Think of just this last week. We have a major catastrophic situation where there's a shooting that takes place. And nobody wants to talk about what really happened. We want to hide the situation of why the person went in there in the first place. You need to, first of all, realize that persecution is coming to the church as Christians. You need to realize that you need to not depend on someone else to take care of your kids. So get your kids out of school. If you can, try to homeschool. Please do all you can to take care of your children. And then the sad thing is the cover-up. Not only the fact that this happened, the fact that the news media covers up certain elements of the story. Instead of using why this person did what she did, they just cover it up. Then they make it about something totally different. And guess what? We believe it, hook, line, and sinker. We just were like the little calf following the mama. Oh, well, you know, she's giving me the milk, so I might as well keep on following her. We're doing the same thing with news media. We're seeing what they're telling us and we just believe it instead of doing our own research on it and gaining wisdom. So then what happens is, because we believe everything that we hear instead of understanding wisdom and trying to gain wisdom, try to seek wisdom, then all of a sudden we say, okay, yes, we're fine. Take those away. Those are dangerous. Those defense mechanisms, they're the ones. That's the problem. You know, the problem with faith, that faith is holding you back. You don't need it anymore. So then we start listening to it, and then we're indoctrinated by what we're hearing. Now, let's talk about the main problem that causes all this to take place, and then the solution. The main problem, the reason we have surveillance on our own people, the reason we have international surveillance on us and getting information and crucial information about America, the reason that we have high prices with gas and that we're so controlled by the global markets instead of our own market, the reason we're seeing our children damaged, and the reason we're seeing a lost generation and an issue where we've lost all absolute value to being American and no one takes pride in it anymore. Here's the problem. It's leadership. We've lost leadership. We've lost our way because we have no one leading and guiding the ship. Our founding fathers, if you go back and read some of their quotes about what they went through and how they wanted to be away from tyrannical leadership and wanted freedoms. If you go back and read some of their quotes from George Washington, from Ben Franklin, from Thomas Paine, from Samuel Adams, from some of those guys. Now, they were not perfect. They did stupid things too. However, they were trying to learn along the way. They were trying to seek wisdom. If you look at some of their quotes and listen to what they say, it would blow your mind of all the knowledge. It could be so much provided for us today. Well, again, scripturally and as a biblical believer in Christ, if we see some of the things that we've learned in history and see some of the accounts that happen in the Bible and we seek wisdom that way, then we'll realize where we're at and how we can correct the ship. It's all about leadership. We have to get away from this political class, this uniparty, this situation where it's all about what they want and not the American people. Sadly, all these politicians and all these people in government, they don't make a ton of money, but they're all millionaires. How does that happen? Lobbyists. That means they're worried about their own self versus anything else. They're not listening to their people. They're not seeing freedom importance. They're seeing lobbies importance. They're seeing special interest groups importance. When you have career politicians that haven't done anything for the last 20 or 30 or 40 years, do you think they're going to do anything the next year? And again, it's kind of like the media thing. We just believe it. Until we get better leadership, we're not going to be able to solve the problem. This is not just a Biden situation. This is not just his administration situation. It's pretty much what they call the swamp. I hate to say it that way because I feel like it's such a cliche statement that we use, but it truly is that. Washington has become a place where it's like a syndicate. It's like a place where people go and they just get so mesmerized by all the money and all the special interests and all the elitist class versus really remember where they're from and how they can do good things for their people. So the main problem with all these situations, the problem we're not showing leadership across the world, is because we're seeing an implosion here in America where we have no true leadership. We're missing out on leadership, and because we're missing out on leadership, we're seeing more wars. We're seeing the fall of our dollar. We're seeing the war on our children. We're seeing the war on morals and values. We don't even know what a man is anymore, or a woman is anymore. That used to be a big deal, where you took pride in being a man. You took pride in being a woman. You wanted your kids to grow up in some kind of value system to where they knew what right and wrong was. We wanted American freedoms. We wanted people to have their privacy. All that's gone, but it all comes back to leadership. When we find better leaders, and when we elect, or we try hard to find information and learn what we can do to find better leaderships to give us those freedoms back, I honestly believe we can fix our nation. But not only does it take better leaders, the leaders are still fallen people. They're still like us. So those leaders have to have some kind of moral compass, some kind of moral ground, some higher calling to say, you know what, I realize I'm just as foolish as the rest of America. So now we have to seek wisdom from a higher purpose. We have to figure out what that is. Now, of course, for us, we believe it's someone who believes in Christ, someone who is a God-fearing God follower. No matter what you say, America was set up that way, and it ran really well before. For instance, firearms. Firearms is not the problem. Guess what? Firearms have been around for all these last 200 years that we've been here. Over 200 plus years that we've been here. It's all of a sudden become a problem lately because of all the stuff and all the crap that we're putting in our children's minds and all the garbage that they're being fed, from virtual games to the medicine we're putting them on. It messes them up, and all of a sudden then we build this generation of just no moral code, no absolutes. All this goes back to leadership. We need better leaders to guide us. And then that leader also has to be guided by something else, which again, for us, we believe it's God. When we get better leadership, and when we understand what true leaders look like, then we will see America like it should be, free, and the city on hill that it once was. But until we get back to that, we're going to see this point in time, be a pivot, and a pivot that can cause major strife for the American people. All these things that we just talked about, and because we have a leadership that is not showing strength and wisdom, it's going to cause a pivot and a turning point that I'm scared that will be for the worse. So it's now time to say, you know what, we can't fix all these issues, but we can work on better leaders. When we find better leaders and they have a higher calling, then we'll realize all these other things will be like ducks in a row. They'll follow behind. We won't be like the little calves anymore. We're seeking guidance. We're seeking wisdom. We are gonna not be fed by the media. We're gonna do our own research. We're not gonna think this politician after 30 years is gonna do something different. They're not. Thank you so much for watching this video today. I hope that you could see this common sense approach. Once you watch this video, I bet you were like, you know what, this guy, all he did was say something that we already believe, something we all know. Okay, if we all know it, why are we not doing anything about it? Why are we not looking for good leaders? Why are we not trying to strive to see what we can do? Now, we can't control all these issues. We understand that. So then we come back to being a prepper and homesteader. We come back to someone saying, you know what, we have to protect our family and teach our children different. Well, if you put your children in these indoctrination camps, they're not learning anything but the same old trash that we're trying to keep them from. If we're not trying to raise our children and spend time with our kids and get ourselves off these technology devices, if we don't do that, then they're not going to learn anything but what the world wants them to learn. If we keep this media on that's teaching us propaganda instead of true news and wisdom seeking news, and try to hide and cover up things, then we're always going to be indoctrinated by what they give us. We're always going to be like the little calf, the little lamb, instead of being someone who learns, someone who grows, someone who tries to make wise decisions. Leadership. We need better leadership. And sometimes let's start on the local levels. Let's get better leaders in our homes. When we become better leaders, then our homes will be better. When we have better homes, then our cities will be better. Because we'll elect people who believe like us. It's not a political issue, it's a moral issue. Then when we have better mayors, we'll have better representatives. Then we'll have better representatives, we'll have better governments. Then we'll have better governors. Then we'll have better states. Our better states will make a better nation. It all comes back to leadership. I'm not talking about the leadership just in the White House. I'm talking about the leadership starts with us. Be a leader in your home, be a leader in your community, gain wisdom, seek out a common sense approach and a wise decisions for you and your family. And ultimately you can start changing some of these things. Small, but every day, if you're doing 1% more and 1% better every day, and you're impacting someone a little bit more each and every day, then you're going to start impacting an area. That's how revival starts. It's how spiritual awakening starts. But that's also how we can change a nation. Thank you for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments below. God bless you.